What topics make you go, shut up? I used to be a divorce lawyer, which of course makes people think I want to hear horror stories about their ex. When I'm not even at work, often when I'm at a party, or out in public, I twitch. I'm a commercial property lawyer. People also think I want to hear their family divorce law stories, or their DUIs. Influencer drama. Popular douchebag. One calls popular douchebag to a poopy head and all of a sudden it's national news. Like who the frick cares? My brothers are 11 and 7. I am 32. Their childhood influences have me fully understanding the horror of adults in my childhood. They only watch YouTubers. Is this what my entertainment looked like to adults? Am I just old? Or are they as horrible as I think? Because I still think they are. But old people feel that way about my stuff. But man, they're so awful. When I'm talking about something I've done or bought and the other person has to try and one-up you constantly, I have recently started replying with of course you have if they start bragging about something they have done or own that is so much better than my example. Usually these people don't quite get the sarcasm. My wife's whole family is all about the one-upmanship, but usually it's about who had it worse. I couldn't afford X as a kid. Oh yeah, well we couldn't even get underwater that didn't have holes. I never ate X as a kid. Oh yeah, we had to eat rocks, and mom even burned those. If someone goes why aren't we talking about this, I just naturally assume now that the topic they are referring to is extremely specific to their life and in no way impacts me. Or lots of people are, in fact, talking about this, but they don't know because they refuse to leave their echo chamber. Celebrity BS. It's weird people care what complete strangers are doing with their life when they couldn't care less of yours and who you personally are. Stalkerish behavior, emo. Also when good looking people start going ooh I'm so ugly because they want someone to tell them no you're not for validation. Celebrities do this as well. When my students start rambling about whatever half-baked, crackpot half-truths of history that they got from FB, Twitter, whatever, that they believe is the gospel truth. I used to go on Tumblr a lot and there was always something blowing up about history or whatever that made everyone in the replies go off the rails. One day, one of the posts made me raise an eyebrow, and I looked it up only to find out that only 30% of the post was actually true. After that I fact checked every post like that and 9/10 times it was so far from the truth. LMAO. I don't have it but apparently the same thing happens on TikTok. I majored in political science and trust me, this is almost always my response when someone wants to talk politics with me. The vast majority of the time talking politics just involves hearing someone recite to me the talking points they heard from their favorite media personality, and it is rarely an honest dialogue. In most political conversations people are just thinking about how they are going to counter what the other person is saying. There is rarely an attempt to actually listen and understand where the other person is coming from to reach a consensus. It is often just a quarrel that feeds on itself ad infinitum. 100% accurate, especially the bit where you mention that people are only listening to respond and not to comprehend what the other is saying. It becomes a battle of who is right and who is wrong. Talking to understand can be mutually beneficial. Unfortunately, most political convos do not reach this point. Drama in work. Honestly, I don't give a crap how or why person A doesn't get along with person B because person C has done or said something. STFU, it's a job. Grow up and start doing what you are paid to do. Outside of work you can beat each other up all you want. My coworkers are so dramatic. It's rare I get a second of peace without having to hear someone screaming about what this other person did. I'm like, guys, we work at a pizza shop. Nothing could be that serious. Homeopathy and how it magically cured arthritis of my friend's great-grandmother after all mainstream doctors failing to reduce her pain. When I was 17 I lived in a house share with a girl who was deep into homeopathy. Like her mum was a homeopath and had brought her up that way. One morning we were both hanging heavily and she offered me a hangover cure her mum created. I can't remember what was supposed to be in it but she told me to take one tablet every half hour until I felt better. Each tablet had to be taken with a full glass of water. I declined the pills but after taking 5 she was bragging how much better she felt. Funnily enough, after 1.5 liters of water I felt better too. Weirdly, she was in uni training to be a nurse. Right now, COVID. It's so depressing to hear about every single day, either on every social media platform or having a conversation at work or with someone else. It's depressing as heck. The amount of people who are surprised that others don't like to talk about politics is more surprising to me than the majority of other answers' responses. When very young, mostly white, people try to start a racial conversation with me, a black woman, about something that is really not offending me and I don't consider racist. The newest one was thinking that white women calling black women queen is racist prejudiced. No, it really isn't. It doesn't bother me. Call me queen all day. I don't care. Can we fight real injustices before we start nitpicking stuff that isn't really bothering anyone? I can't see how America can move on to inequality and all the awful things that stem from it until they get over the decades-long discussion about what adjective to use instead of black, when black is perfectly fine anyway. As someone who has been actively suicidal in the past, it is rough when someone brings up suicide in general. But if you're the type of person to say you're depressed and in the same breath say 13 reasons why was an accurate portrayal of depression and post about your depression for attention, I have no words for how much I need to punch you. When I was at my lowest I actually thought about suicide but mostly just lived like a zombie. I didn't consider the future, cut myself from everyone, stopped going to my college class and just didn't want to do anything except play games by myself and sleep. One day the topic comes up and I say I might have been going through depression. Said I wasn't sure and wasn't diagnosed. Then this girl hit the table, start yelling at me for not knowing what it's like and that I shouldn't say that I was depressed. One of my friends took her side and said to never bring up the topic again, which I didn't. So I learned my lesson that day. If your problems aren't apparent, you look like a fake to other people. This feeling usually happens over lunch at work. I do not care about celebrity gossip or reality show discourse. And I really do not care about your diet and the nutritional content of your food. Talking about food from home while eating it, that's like the worst small talk imaginable. People who will go on endlessly about the only just legally distinct from keto diet being flogged by the latest grifter or whatever. Or keto for that matter. Any kind of diet. How about you eat what you want and shut the frick up? When people divert any conversation to themselves, I literally called someone because I really needed a friend in that moment, and after I said I needed to talk about something serious, they started talking about their day at work and some rude customer who offended them. Please, I just wanted 10 minutes. Elon Musk. I don't hate the guy. In fact, I was big fan of him in high school. I think it was probably in between him accusing that diver of being a pedophile and him naming his son XETC when I realized he really likes media attention. I've always avoided people who were obsessed with the spotlight in my personal life. I now know other people who are working towards similar scientific goals that aren't distracting themselves from their work. I've lost interest and I think the algorithms that control my social media account haven't caught on yet. I agree with you, and I think most people don't find him as interesting as most people in the media seems to. So I was little shocked to find out he's hosting SNL tomorrow. I have a feeling it's going to be an awkward train wreck, and not the so bad it's good kind either. When people talk politics at work, work is for work, not political debate. If I want to debate you on politics, I'll do that elsewhere. Someone posting about how useless their high school classes were and they wish they had learned how to do taxes. B. You wouldn't have taken the tax class if it was offered. My curriculum mandated that we all take calm, career and life management. This disbelief included taxes, credit, etc. But no, the course was a joke. No teacher or feedback. We barely covered anything but a vague idea of how to budget. Life managed. When pastors and other Christians say something cringy, shout amen during a sermon, or try and push you to something, and I'm a Christian myself, they are part of the reason why I am perfectly fine telling friends and co-workers I'm a Christian, but at the same time, I don't force my beliefs onto them or tell them don't do this, do that. Whether you're part of a religion, a movement, a community, or even a fandom, you should be careful of how you show yourselves to others, because people will see you as an example of whichever group of people you fall into. I know a lot of Christians don't mean any harm, but they look like they're social inept. I recently spoke to a born-again Christian friend of mine about why I don't like heavily Christian-themed films and companies. She immediately went hotly defensive before I could explain that pushing your message isn't my issue, their shoddy production is. I see a lot of my Christian friends as this. They all thought the arts were super duper awesome, but depending on the church, playing bass is a fast ride to heck, so it's like they are all self-taught as to remain pure and away from temptation, which isn't great for developing talent. As an American, pretty much anything relating to politics, like why can't we talk about aliens or something? Leave it to an American to turn aliens into a political topic. Kardashian anything, or any influencer shite. It's beyond me how anyone tunes into any of them. I remember something blowing up about one of them making a video of how to eat a Kit Kat. From that moment I knew America was a lost cause, besides the fact that a reality TV buffoon was running the country. It's because instead of taking care of your own personal problems or attaining goals for yourself, it's a lot easier to live through someone else. I had a roommate in an apartment in college that was obsessed with celebrities and Hollywood drama. Her life, however, was a mess, and she was never really happy unless on social media or discussing celebrities. Disclaimer: COVID-19 should be taken seriously, and those saying otherwise are part of the problem. That being said, I'm sick of hearing unnecessary doom and gloom about it too. Yeah, this is bad, but exaggerating how bad it is doesn't help either. I hear people say things like, if you send your kids to school, you are sentencing them to death, or we will just have to wear masks the rest of our lives. My friend was out for a walk and someone yelled from their window that he shouldn't be outside during a pandemic. I saw a thread where a guy talked about his job requiring him to be in office, and Redditors were telling him he should quit for the greater good of humanity. If you feel that seriously about it, go live in a bunker and enjoy living off canned beans. Go live in a bunker and enjoy living off canned beans. Sets aside empty can of beans. How dare you, sir? British royalty. I don't care about any of them. Who they're dating. How many kids they have. Celebrities crap I don't give a dang about. Even when it's an actor I care about, it barely interests me unless it's something really funny. But 99% of the time it's about someone I don't care about, so it's even worse. Astrology. Go be crazy somewhere else. The weather. If we're talking, we're in the same vicinity. We have the same weather. So telling me it's cold warm today, it's kinda stating the obvious. I don't know why that kind of small talk is so common in society. Like, why weather and not I don't know. Hey, that wall is very blue. To me those statements are about the same, but for some reason saying it's cold today is deemed normal, while saying that wall is blue would be met with weird looks. Politics, if you're treating it as celebrities crap I don't give a dang about. I'm all for debating politics, as long as it's debating and not just throwing out random emotional anecdotal opinions, but not gossiping about politics. Hey, I like talking about the weather. If a wall was grey yesterday, but it's blue today, you bet your butt I'd mention it to people. I can't go out tonight, I have to go to the gym. I'll be doing meal prep all day Sunday or else I would. Gosh, I'm so sore, my trainer really pushed me yesterday. You know there are a lot of calories in that, right? I drink 2 gallons of water a day. Can we pick a different restaurant that has gluten-free, dairy-free, sugar-free vegan food? Like, we get it, you're the pinnacle of great health. It doesn't need to be your entire personality though. Can we break this down to anyone who makes anyone one thing their entire personality? Fitness, a single hobby, gaming, I'm looking at you, their sexual identity, their political view, smoking weed, their religion, etc. Weed. I'm glad you like it, but I don't care about it. Please for God's sake stop talking about it. I'd literally rather discuss damn near anything else. When my know-it-all relatives who has lived in the US for 50 years tries to explain to me about statistics of chronic diseases, Crohn's disease, Alzheimer's and COVID, or how to cook Chinese food, I am not an expert, but I have a master's degree in biostatistics and public health, and spent my teenage and adult years studying, interning, and working in public health before going corporate developing Crohn's and Alzheimer drugs. I also co-own an Asian restaurant with my friend where I help decide their weekly specials after I have tested recipes at home. It really irks me to have to listen to someone who tries to teach or educate or enlighten me about something I have spent my life studying and working, and then proceeds to use "I have lived 68 years and have more life experience than you" as a reason to defend her false statements when I prove her wrong with a simple Google search, or when they tell me how my Chinese food is wrong because mine is not traditional enough. When I try to travel back to different parts of Asia once or twice a year to learn and pay for recipes from chefs who owns Michelin restaurants. I have 2 volumes of Cantonese and Chinese recipes from friend's father, who owned a 2 Michelin star restaurant, but passed away years ago, and gave me his recipe manual, with pricing and profit margin on all the recipes his mentor passed down to him and his recipes. That recipe manual is at least 70 plus years old, including a collection of food hawker recipes, and several hundred typical restaurant and home cook foods. I might not have cooked all those recipes yet. I am about 48 recipes in, but I do my dang best to follow the recipe. Keto or any fad diet. Had a roommate who talked about diets constantly and how good the insert diet of the week is. Oh yeah, they worked so well. She never got below 400 pounds. No exaggeration. Trust fund wide kids dictating their particularly snarky brand of performative wokeness, especially unprompted and when it's unrelated to the topic at hand. Also unsolicited and non sequitur political opinions. Can't stand visiting family members who spout off every single inconvenience as the Democrats or liberals' fault. I'm here to enjoy dinner with you, not get roped into your half-baked conspiracy theories. They could trip going up the stairs and somehow it'll be those damn libtards' fault. Honestly, when people trauma bomb you, I don't know why, but I feel like this happens a lot to me, mostly with people I don't know that well. Like we will be having a light conversation and all of a sudden a person will bring up a major traumatic life event, and then I'm sitting like, oh, okay, so sorry that happened. I have no idea what to say. I feel gross about it, but I feel like it's an indication that a person is emotionally immature, and I don't know what the motive is around sharing something like that with an stranger. Also, I think kind of selfish, like you don't know what others have walked through and maybe they don't want to revisit their own trauma like that. Like I said, it happens so often. My empathy just goes out the door and I'm just irritated. Quite often people don't realize something was traumatic or horrifying until they say it out loud. I've done that before. But those people who just go on and on and on about everything they've been through, I get it. You have a chronic illness, you're leaving an abusive relationship, your parents suck, you need a job, yada yada yada. Please stop. Every time a boomer wants to say something about millennials, they don't even know what ages qualify for a millennial, and they sure as frick don't know the crap on our plate. Think about the fact that 20% of your paycheck goes to Medicare and SS and you won't see either of those programs in your retirement years, and we're the ones looking for handouts. Let me tell you, they are ignorant scammers, the most pathetic generation. Vaccines. I'm just sick of it at this point. Get your shot. It's essentially created a rift in my family. My brother doesn't want to risk his future kids. GF is pregnant. Health, so he wants everyone visiting to be vaccinated. Mom is super anti-vax and outraged because of it. She's eligible for it and could get it at any time, but of course refuses and digs on bro for it all the time. Then you turn on the car radio and it's just vaccine this, vaccine that. Ugh. Shut up. Other people's gym routines. Oh my freaking god. Preach. I have a brother and used to share a place with him and his then partner. A friend of my brother's used to drive 15 minutes out of his way to go to our place after CrossFit tour, smoke with my brother and talk about his workout or absorb attention while my brother's ex fawned over his development, waiting out traffic on the highway, as it were. Never stopped talking about it. There was no conversation he couldn't stain with his vanity. One day, I crap you not, I get home and make myself a snack and CS isn't far behind showing up. My brother and his ex are on their way out, so I assume this guy will make his visit short because they are leaving, and despite the fact that we were cordial, he and I weren't personal friends nor did we share common interests. The others have left and I'm really interested in my food, to avoid any contact with him because I know what's coming. Peripherally, I can see him, feel his eyes trying to get me to acknowledge his existence like a puppy in obedience training shaking in readiness for a treat. The very second I lock eyes with him, this mother stretches his arms and starts groaning about his workout. Jumped right in like a pro freaking double Dutch champion. This dude, I straight up, dead nuts halt him and tell him, you can hang out as much as you like, but I do not want to hear about your workout. I could not care less. When friends from high school bring up drama from high school. Graduation was 10 years ago, sis. It was my 20th high school reunion a few years ago and the only one I went to. It was a genuinely sad experience. And I don't know what was worse. The people who had turned up just to rub their success in the faces of people who they believe had wronged them somehow. Or the people who had literally not changed or moved on in the 20 years that had passed. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.